Hi guys, I hope you all can hear me well. I'm so sorry for the 2-3 minute delay. I think there were some glitches with the streaming platform. Always seems to be a little bit of a challenge because LinkedIn doesn't allow you to go live without a third party, streaming platform. But yep, I'm glad that we are here. It's 9 p.m. at the Gradvine office, and if you look around, it's rather quite deserted at this point in time. But well, I'm here to answer all your questions, and I'd be happy to take all your questions as we go along. Of course, you would know that there will be a little bit of a lag because streaming is not instant. So you can use the comments section on YouTube and LinkedIn to post your questions. And as soon as they come in, I would be happy to answer as many of them in the next 40-45 minutes or so. Typically what we found is that YouTube is a little bit more foolproof and efficient in terms of putting your questions. So if you are on LinkedIn, where understandably I'm assuming there are more people watching, you might want to consider skipping over to our YouTube live and typing questions there because they seem to come in a little faster. If not, also no problem. We will figure out a way to get your questions off LinkedIn as well. So yeah, any questions you may have with respect to your profiles, with respect to what kind of colleges you have to apply to, any questions with the application process, maybe there's some things that are concerning you at this point in time, I'd be happy to cover. Oh, I'm sorry, the questions are here already. All right, opportunities for business analytics is the first question. Very, very strong at this point in time. For the past 4-5 years, there's been a data science sort of boom in the US, and of course, business analytics, data analytics have also been swept up, by that specific boom. And there are terrific opportunities once you graduate in the US. Honestly, it really depends on the schools that you're going to be honest. Business analytics also, there are only about 30 to 35 programs that are really worth going to. If you go to any of these, they're fine, and location is important, but in general the scope is good because it gives you a very, very strong skill set that's very much in demand in the market right now. All right, how would you rate the MEM programs at Texas A&M and North Carolina State? I would rate them very highly if you're okay with the curriculum. Texas A&M more so than NCSU. The curriculum can be polarizing because it's a spin-off of the industrial engineering program that was on offer there. So you can find a lot of industrial operations, supply chain related stuff. So if you're okay with that, it's still a great program. Offers a lot for what it costs. NCSU is an outstanding school in an outstanding location. The program is new, yes, but I've heard from a lot of people who've gone there who have only the nicest things to say about the program. The curriculum is again a little bit more operations oriented because NCSU as an engineering school has a very strong industrial engineering program. So you can see elements of that involved. But by and large, very, very good school. Both of them. You should consider applying if you like the curriculum. All right, 8.5 GPA, 7.5 on the IELTS, 308 on the GRE. What are my chances for MS and SEM at USC and Purdue? I think you will have a shot. We've had similar profiles make it to the SEM programs at USC Purdue. We've had a similar profile make it to Ross, Michigan as well, which is arguably, or rather unarguably, better than both these programs. So yeah, if you want any help with the process, you can always reach out to us, schedule a free consultation on gradvine.com, and we'd love to assist you with the process, but you would have a shot at these schools. Is it better to take organization psychology or HR? Simple thing, I wouldn't recommend you do an HR degree abroad anyways, because for companies to hire you, you need to make sure that you have a skill set and you're doing a role where local talent isn't able to fill that need, and HR isn't nearly specialized enough that they actually have to sponsor an H-1B visa or a work permit, which is very expensive and complicated for a company for an HR role. So when there's a visa in question, which it will be if you're an international student, I don't recommend you do HR. It's not specialized enough. It's not a skill set where there is that much dearth in talent abroad. You could look at organizational psychology or general marketing psychology, consumer psychology courses as well if you're interested in that, because some of them can also be classified as STEM in the US, which would make sense. But psychology is a better bet overall. All right. How is Hult International Business School for a master's in international business? Not very good. Honestly, if you want to look for a job abroad, don't do these international business courses. They really, really don't endow you with a very strong skill set that makes you a hireable asset as a foreign candidate, especially not at Hult. In fact, Hult is a popular name only because of the sheer amount of marketing they do. I hope I don't get, in trouble for this, but well, I'm sure you would have heard of Hult through a marketing email that landed in your inbox. Um, I want to work in the operations management domain in the automotive sector. Is this technically specific enough for an SOP for MEM? Sure, it is. But again, the level of specificity also has to cover maybe things like what kind of automation do you want to bring in? How do you want to reduce material wastage? With Industry 4.0, how do you want to include that? So that level of clarity is something that you'll have to bring in, and that technical correctness is important. Operations management in the automotive sector is fine, but what do you want to do in terms of operational improvements, and where do you envision creating an impact is something that you definitely have to talk about. All right, I have a dream to get into either Dartmouth, Cornell, or Duke for my MEM. How should I build my profile to increase my chances? The most important factor for MEM programs, by and large, is your GPA. So maintain a good GPA. That is almost half the battle won. Second, you need to have at least two solid projects where you've used engineering to solve very pertinent issues. How have you used engineering to solve problems? Even if it's a very technical solution, it doesn't matter. You need to have one or two solid projects. You also need to have one good internship. If you do it through a campus placement at a brand name company like a Microsoft or a Google or an Oracle or a Dell or any of these, that would be fantastic. If not, at least an internship where you created some sort of impact in the corporate sector. These factors should by and large keep you in line with a chance for Dartmouth, Cornell, or Duke. Is it good if I study MS in mechanical and aerospace, considering the job prospects in the US? I don't recommend aerospace at all in the US. We've had candidates in the past who gone to, the aerospace programs at the University of Michigan and the likes, which are probably the best programs in the world, struggled without a job, not because the program is bad. It is because the visa norms get a little stringent for these kind of jobs, and international candidates need to go through additional security clearances, which companies are rarely willing to, endure, right? Stick to MS mechanical, it's fine. Don't venture into aerospace would be my recommendation. Business analytics at California State University East Bay. CSU East Bay is not among the best universities in the world, sure, but its location is fantastic. If you go there, you will most likely secure a job, so I can recommend it strongly to you. Can we apply in round 2 for MSBA applications for US universities? Strong academic profile, 9.6 GPA, 2 years of work ex. I would have recommended round 1 to you because it just increases your chances a little bit. But looking at your GPA and you're saying that your work ex is relevant, I think you should still give a shot to round 2. We've had people who crack the top programs in round 2 as well. So, definitely schedule your free consultation with us, through the link Nilesh provides or on www.gradvine.com. And we'd love to help you out with the process. Even if it's round 2, I wouldn't be too worried. All right. Hi, I have 3.5 years of experience as an APM and a CGPA of 8.41. Would you suggest me to submit the GRE score considering it's optional for Dartmouth or Duke? If it is a 310 plus, submit it. If it's below a 310, do not submit it. Simple equation. If you truly believe that you cannot write the GRE and get a 315 plus, then you can choose not to give the GRE. Last year, as I often mentioned, we had over 40 students make it to the Duke MEM program, out of which 14-15 did not have a GRE score, but the rest of the profile was good. I would say your profile is pretty decent, so you can realistically apply without a GRE. But obviously, again, if you have a 320 plus, it does strengthen your application a little bit. But depends on what your timelines are and how good you think you'll do in the GRE. If you're starting prep now or something, just submit the application. Don't bother with the GRE. How is UFL for MCS, considering the location is not that great, but ROI is pretty decent? For a CS, computer science, it's pretty good. Your ROI will be safe. I know location is not the great, but not that great. But, of course, there's no reason why you can't get offers from, multiple other locations. Florida is not too bad. It's not the best, but it's not too bad. So you can definitely consider it. All right, I have a job experience of 7 years as an HSE officer in the shipping industry. What is the scope of marine safety in the US and Europe? I would not recommend you go that niche anytime you go into a master's degree abroad, because then you're resigning your fate, your visa, everything to one specific sector. And here I'm assuming there's a lot of governmental hold in all of these roles, and recruiting foreign candidates becomes an issue in these sort of roles. I would not recommend you do that. Stick to more traditional courses if moving abroad and getting a job is your first priority. You can even be eligible for an MBA for that matter. All right. What is the average salary after MEM in a top 5 US university? Thanks for this question. Varies greatly. Stanford has been around that 110, 120K a year because it's Stanford. Dartmouth has been around that 100, 110 region. Johns Hopkins, during their webinar in collaboration with us a month ago, revealed their stats as being between $100 to $150,000. So they started at $100,000, which is a fantastic number. So there and thereabouts you can be. Duke may be a little lower because of the large class size. I would strongly recommend you attend the Johns Hopkins MSEM webinar. They're doing a repeat version of it. If I'm not wrong, on the 4th of November at 8:30 p.m. Or 8 p.m. You can find it on our social medias. Join that. Ask them your questions. That will be a wonderful opportunity for all you MEM grads to not only get information from the right sources, but also create a nice impression on them by answering your questions, by rather asking them the right questions, which makes a huge difference. Best college for getting into product management after MEM apart from Duke? I would recommend Dartmouth is a great product management school. Cornell is a great product management school. Northeastern is a great product management school. UIUC is a decent product management school. So these are the kind of programs that you can look for. Can you suggest moderate and safe universities for SEM? I don't know the names right at the top of my head. I usually, love giving out names and helping out students a lot, as you can see. But again, I cannot think of these programs at the top of my head. If you haven't signed up for a university shortlisting service, do consider it. University shortlisting, guys, is incredibly important. It could make the difference between you spending 40-50 lakhs for a return on investment that pays rich dividends for years and years later, versus spending the same for a university that may not be as good, right? So it's an investment. Don't mess with your university shortlisting. Make sure you have people who are aware of these programs and get the right mentor to shortlist universities for the same. That will make a massive difference. So don't compromise on that. How to compensate no work experience for an MEM degree? You don't have to worry about that. MEM has half the class of people with work X, half the class without work X, so you don't have to compensate for anything. If your GPA is good, if your internships are good, if your projects are good, by and large, you should be fine. So you don't really have to compensate for anything of that sort. All right, guys, the questions are flowing in at a very, very high rate, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you for trusting me to give you advice. Really flattering. I might not be able to answer all of them due to a time constraint, and we have undergrad deadlines tomorrow as well, so I might need to hop off about 25-30 minutes. But if I'm not able to get to your question, you can always schedule a free consultation on gradvine.com, and you'll get the exact same quality advice from my team as well. It's a consultation call first, and a sales call next. If you like what they're speaking, you can understand what our services are, and also understand why we've been able to deliver unmatched results for the better part of half a decade now. So definitely schedule that free consultation if I'm not able to get to your question. All right. Hi, I graduated from NIT Warangal, EE 8.8, GPA, 2 years work X. I plan to target UT Austin, I'm assuming, for MS VLSI, Georgia Tech, Purdue, UCSD, TAMU. TOEFL score of 98. Should I give my TOEFL again? This is a simple answer that I give you. TOEFL cutoffs vary from university to university. If you clear the cutoff by even 1 mark, or if you match the cutoff, you don't have to give it again. I suspect that with a 98, because it's very impossible for me to remember every program's every cutoff, but 98 by and large you should sail through. But for these specific universities, see what their TOEFL cutoff is, and if you clear that even by 1 point, you're absolutely fine. It doesn't make any difference apart from that in terms of getting your admit. But even if you're 1 point behind, you will be rejected because it's a hard cutoff for the TOEFL. What are the chances at these universities? I would take my chances with these. I think you have a shot because you come from a top tier NIT. You have work X, your GPA is good. I would apply to all of these universities. You'd have a shot at some of them, if not all of them, for sure. All right, IELTS 6.5 with no less than 6 in each module, 8.7 GPA. Should I retake the IELTS? I would recommend you retake it because there will be a few universities that you'll be eligible for because of your GPA, and because of a TOEFL or an IELTS score. If you're prevented from applying to some really good schools, it's not really fair for you. because getting that GPA, maintaining a good profile is far more difficult than getting an IELTS or a TOEFL. I would recommend you retake the IELTS and try for a 7 band, because a much better range of universities might open up for you. With a 6.5, a lot of top schools, you will not clear the cutoff and you will not be able to apply and get in. All right, GPA 8.3, IELTS 7.5, 2 projects, 2 internships, but a low GRE score. Chances for MEM and Cornell, Duke, and Purdue. Of course, nobody can put in percentages with admit. So nobody can say a 50% chance of getting in or a 30% chance of getting in. But the only answer I have here is that I've had similar profiles get in regularly in the past to these schools. So you definitely have a shot for sure. All right, I'm real confused about the GRE. Many of the colleges have waived it. Some people are asking to take it because it'll be a boost to my profile. Should I take it? Depends on your GPA. At this point in time, there are a lot of schools that have said it's optional. When they say it's optional, then a good GRE score will add to your profile for sure. But if you're a 9-pointer and you have an excellent profile, otherwise I wouldn't bother, because generally in application processes, pre-COVID also, GRE was not the most important factor. If you are confident of scoring a 320 and you believe you have the time to crack that score, then maybe take it. But if you are, hovering around the 305, 310 range, don't bother. A good GRE score is a boost. If it is optional, it is a boost. But some universities say they will not even look at the GRE score. Even if you submit it, for them, it's a waste. So my recommendation is get your shortlist done first. Because again, your shortlist and the universities you target is far more contingent on the rest of your profile, your GPA projects, and not as much on the GRE. So if there are universities based on the rest of your profile that lie within the target zone, see which ones of them are optional, which ones of them are compulsory. If it's only 1 or 2 that are compulsory, or 1 or 2 that are saying we would prefer a GRE score, then no point taking it. So get your shortlist done first, and we'd be happy to do that shortlist for you. I would strongly recommend, considering it's almost November, right? November is in about 2.5 hours. You should really be on top of the process by this point, and you should have taken a call on the GRE by now, ideally. So schedule a free consultation with us, and after that, sign up for one of our services. And on the free consultation, my team will help you with the timelines. And once you sign up for the service, you'll get a list based on which you can take the call on the GRE, and also push the application process fast, at a faster pace. So that's what I would strongly recommend you do at this point. All right, GPA 8.41, writing literature review on supply chain, GRE 360 into industrial training. Which top university should I target for industrial? We've had similar profiles track a top 10, including places like a Texas A&M, Purdue in the past. So you should definitely try and push for a top 10. Maybe safe schools like a UIC should balance your list out. Safe schools have to be in great locations and have a good industrial engineering department. That is important for you to understand. I think you'll do fairly well. We've had similar profiles crack top 10s all the time. You'd love to have us by your side helping with the process. So definitely consider that seriously. All right, what's the opportunity of getting direct PhD after BTech in VLSI, considering I have a 9 GPA, 4-5 research papers? What are the best possible universities I can get into? You can get into a PhD after BTech if you have these research papers. But if you were seriously considering, a PhD, you should have written to professors by now. Because apart from the admissions committee, it is the professors who have to see whether your area of expertise and your research resonates with what they're working on. And if you can get a reply from them, then it's a big positive for your application. That's an effort you should have been making. You could consider getting into a direct PhD after VLSI if that's something that really applies, that really appeals to you. I think you can, have a shot. Views on MEM versus technology management, they're the same. They're just a different name for STEM engineering management degrees. All right. Hi, Sreekar. Waiting to connect with you since a few months. Would like to have your contact number? I wish I could, my friend. I get again, I don't get as many messages as some influencers and all that, but I get at least 10 to 11 messages on LinkedIn asking for advice, and I try to help out. A lot of them to the best of my ability. But my recommendation, if you can't get through to me, which is quite difficult, at this point in time and this time of the year, please schedule a free consultation with my team, and you'll get outstanding advice, the best advice on the market. How are the engineering management programs, product management programs at CMU? The engineering technology and innovation management, which is CMU's version of the engineering management program, is good, but a lot of people end up doing a dual degree in order to get a job. The product management program is slightly better. Both are good, both will fetch you a job. But is it better than Cornell? Is it better than a Duke MEM? I probably would say no, but it's It's really subjective opinion at that point. How is the MSTM program in UIUC? It's a pretty good program as long as you're willing to take the data science track. Otherwise, the curriculum is a little too general management oriented, but the school is outstanding. So overall, I would recommend you apply to it. But it really depends on the rest of your profile. Don't randomly apply to schools based on what you hear about it, or based on the brand. It really varies in terms of career outcomes. For example, Columbia, a lot of people apply just because it's Columbia, but then they realize that the curriculum is not really engineering management related at all. It's very, very analytics heavy. And then they realize that after they go there and spending 90 lakhs, which is not a nice place to be in. So definitely be smart with your university shortlisting process and have the right people advising you through it. All right. Texas A&M MS in Industrial Engineering versus Texas A&M M Engineering and Industrial Engineering. Depends on what you want to do. If you wish to get into the corporate sector, like a full-time job, after you graduate, then you might as well just do the non-thesis M Engineering, because it doesn't change anything in terms of the career outcomes, and it's just easier to get into the program if you don't have research. If you want to consider a PhD later on, which would be at the risk of sounding judgmental, a rather odd idea if you do an industrial engineering program, which is very much tailored towards manufacturing and the corporate sector. Then you can consider the thesis track MS in industrial engineering. Otherwise, just do the M engineering. No difference in terms of job opportunities. I have 3+ years of experience as a software developer. I want to become a product manager in the future. Would you recommend an MEM or an MBA? I have an admission to Cornell MEM, but deferred for a year as I got a job offer in India. All right, MBA, MEM really depends on what you want. You'll be spending 1.2, 1.3 crores at the very least on an MBA for a job offer that pays you a little bit more. Definitely, 120, 130K a year is something you can expect after a top MBA. MEM is going to cost you half. Right now, the starting salaries, like I mentioned earlier on in this live, are at 100, 110K. So there is that little bit of a difference. And an MBA is just generally gives you satisfaction that it's a great terminal degree to have, right? That's just psychology. However, either could make sense for you. Keep in mind that MBAs are far more test score centric. That means you need to have a very high GMAT score, upwards of a 710, 720 if you want to realistically have a shot at a top 20 MBA program in the US. MEMs are far more GPA centric. MBAs have a lot more options as well. There are at least 25, 30 outstanding programs in the US. So it depends on what your test scores are, depends on where your GPA lies, depends on how much you want to spend. Overall, MEM could fit your profile just as well as an MBA could. That is something that you'll have to figure out, by speaking to my team, with a more detailed discussion. Is it safe doing an MEM from the likes of TAMU, SDSU, Syracuse, Colorado Boulder? What are the programs you can consider safe universities to pursue MEM beyond the top 10? It is funny because this top 10 list was almost defined by Gradwine through Quora answers and one article that has become very, very popular. Right now, there are honestly the curriculums matter a lot more, guys. The amount of demand for MEM grads and product managers and project managers is so high that there's very, very thin line separating anything in the top 15, top 16 schools, right? Unless you go do some random program at the University of North Texas or some nonsense like that, then you're in trouble. But when you're looking at TAMU, SJSU, Syracuse, and all of these, right, they're very, very closely tied. Even among the four, however, TAMU is a much, much better school and program than SJSU, Syracuse, or even a Colorado Boulder. So the curriculum is something that you have to keep in mind while discerning between these. So top 10, that answer holds true maybe 2 years back when I wrote it, but now it's changed a lot. Maybe I'll do another updated article soon. But really depends on the curriculum. It's definitely worth doing an MEM from any of these schools that you mentioned. They're really, really good. Is Cal Poly worth applying for an MS in CS? I would say so, yes. Does MEM require job experience? No, it does not, Nitish. It does not require any work experience. You can apply as a fresher. Lots of people get in, except 1 or 2 schools here and there. I wish to be enrolled for MEM for fall 23. I have a CGP of 8.62 from NITD. I'm taking the GRE in December. Could you suggest good public universities for the same? Here's the complicated part of the process, Shivangi. MEM, the best schools are rarely public. The best programs are largely offered by private universities, and they are expensive. However, you don't want to be going to an MEM at a public university like a Penn State and all of that, because these programs are not good at all, and they're not in great locations, even though Penn State is a decent school. This is an example for public school. There may be others. You have to be willing to spend when you're applying for an MEM because you earn back as much. So I wouldn't prioritize public universities for the same. For your profile, we've had people get into the top 5, including Duke, Cornell, even Dartmouth. You're taking the GRE in December, it's fine. But anyways, with this profile, you should have a decent shot because you come from an NIT too. So make sure that your shortlist is well balanced. Make sure you're aware of how much you're going to be spending at these universities. Make sure you're aware of the career outcomes, because the curriculums for these MEM programs vary greatly. I'm saying that again. And your career outcomes can be greatly dictated by them. So don't compromise on your shortlist. Don't look at random rankings before applying. You have to know about the curriculums inside out, and that's something we'd be happy to help you out with. So please do schedule a free consultation call with us and understand how we can take it forward. Also keep in mind that it's November. You'll have multiple application materials, including diversity statements, community service essays, shorter essays in place of an SOP, additional scholarship essays. So you really have to get moving for a fall 23. We'd be happy to help you move the process along. All right. Is there any other way to get fee waivers apart from info sessions? Write emails to them. Duke has been giving fee waivers this year also, with people writing to them. All right, Cornell MEM versus MBA from a top 50. Which one did you suggest? Top 50 is very far off. I wouldn't, think of anything beyond the top 30 versus a Cornell MEM. You'd rather stick to a Cornell MEM if you don't get into one of the top 30 MBA programs. Is it worth taking an HR course in India? It will be, because if that's where your interest lies, there's no visas. So you could definitely consider it. Which master's degrees to choose for a software engineering job from a non-CS background, tier 1 college, 8 CGPA, 324 GRE, 1 year experience? You can look at MIS, which is a master's in information systems, and you can look at software engineering programs as well. Both of these don't have any prerequisites, and you can get into software engineering profiles after you, get in. All right, how to improve your profile for MEM? I already answered this earlier in the live, but GPA, most important factor. 2 projects in college where you've used engineering to solve a pertinent problem. 1 corporate internship at a brand name company would help. Otherwise, if you have it even at a smaller startup or a smaller company where you created real impact in the real world using your engineering skills, would be strong. GPA wins a large part of that game. Can 2.5 years of work X plus 2 internships in MNCs compensate for an 8.2 GPA to get into Dartmouth or Cornell MEM? It could. Work experience compensates for a GPA. Anyway, similar GPAs have got to both programs in the past. However, Dartmouth's far more selective considering the size of that class. All right, how are my chances for an MS in CS at UT Dallas, UC Davis, Cal Poly if my GPA is 9.35 and GRE 304? You can even get into better places. If you have a waiver option, don't report your GRE scores. Realistically, we've had similar profiles crack a top 20, top 25 as well. So definitely consider, reaching out to us to a free consultation call. We'd love to help you through the process. The universities that you mentioned, you'll have a shot. Maybe you can make it to better places as well. Duke suggests we add an explanation for low GPAs in the transcript files we upload. Would you recommend you do this for other colleges too? You can try. No harm, you can try. Duke asks you to attach what is known as an addendum, which is like a short written document that is attached to the top of your transcript PDF. So you could consider that. Maximum word limit for Dartmouth SOP. They don't have a word limit, but it is ideal you stick between 900 to 1300 words. GPA 6.4, GRE 319, WorkX as a product engineer at a fintech startup, international experience in extracurricular. What are the chances for a top 10 MEM? I've had similar profiles crack Northeastern in the past. I've even had them crack NYU in the past, but this was in previous years. Competition has increased significantly. You can still apply to the top 10 MEM programs, and we'd love to help you submit a strong application. But a top 15, maybe you can do. How's the MEM product management role at CMU? Never seen you recommended. I see the CMU ETI and IM program started a fall intake only this year. Otherwise, it had only a spring intake, and it was a 9-month program. So even though it's CMU, it has multiple complications with regards to internships and very tight timelines in terms of the job search. That's why I did not recommend the ETIM program, because there are other better options in the fall, even though CMU is a great school. CMU is also offering a product management master's program. It's offering a program called MIIPS, which takes you to product as well, which is pretty solid. So you could definitely look at that. That's the only reason why I never recommended CMU, MIET, and IM, because earlier it was spring only and it was a very short course. All right, safe GRE range for Brown Prime, pros and cons of the same. Brown Prime, GRE, even 310 I've gotten in the past. Brown Prime, even though it's a STEM course, getting jobs will be difficult because the curriculum is very entrepreneurship oriented, not enough quant heaviness. You need to have hard skills that you pick up in an MEM program always. Brown doesn't really provide that. It's very expensive also. You will get a job, but the job search will be a little more difficult. I got a campus offer from some top semiconductor-based company. My role is in the embedded side. I want pure software-based company. Will this in future? I mean, I'm assuming you want to you want to do a pure software-based masters in the future. Then stick to a software role. If you want to do an MIS or a software engineering and shift into the coding side, then sticking for a couple of years, within the semiconductor domain, may not be the best idea. All right, Shivangi says, I have 6 years of experience. I think you were the person who asked about from NIT Warangal, right? Solid chance at all of these schools, but start soon. That doesn't change the fact that you have to begin soon. All right, 7.9 GPA, decent research papers, chances for MSCS in Georgia Tech, NYU, and other universities. Difficult. Georgia Tech and NYU would be top. Georgia Tech is a top 5 school. NYU is a top 15 or top 20 at the very least. Difficult, and I never like to be negative, but with that GPA in hand, it's going to be difficult. Maybe worth applying to NYU and giving it a shot, but Georgia Tech would be a little bit of a stretch. What should I keep in mind while drafting, editing my SOP for MEM? If I start talking about that, it's going to be another 25-30 minutes, and it's unfair for the others on this live. If you're not signed up for a SOP editing service, you're really missing out on something. You're missing out on a significant advantage considering the kind of places our students go to in the hundreds for IE and MEM specifically. So definitely consider signing up for that. How is NYU MOT, especially for product management? It's good. Little expensive, but good. All right. I've begun working with a startup, bringing up the product from scratch. Will this stand out well in my application? Yes, it will. That's the answer to that. I'm looking at mentioning product management as my long-term goal. Fits in beautifully. Would work. How's the job opportunity for business psychology, organization psychology in the UK? If you've been reading the newspapers, you would understand what state the UK economy is in. Forget psychology, even MBA grads have been struggling for jobs because there's simply not enough demand considering how the economy stands today. I wouldn't recommend anyone apply to the UK at this point in time. How's the MS and CSE course at Penn State University Park? Not the best. How's the University of Washington and TAMU for MS in mechanical engineering? Any suggestions from your side regarding universities? Mechanical engineering, TAMU is a fantastic school. So is the University of Washington, very, very strong. If expense is not a concern and if your profile is good, Cornell has a very good mechanical engineering program as well. Of course, your University of Michigan, Georgia Tech are outstanding programs. So safer side, maybe your Northeastern University of Illinois, Chicago are good bets. Your opinion on UC Santa Barbara MTM program in general? Not great, too short. That's my opinion. What is the job scenario with regards to PM roles in the US? Booming right now. What is going to happen 3 years later? Nobody can predict. But I would suspect that it should still be strong because data science has been strong for 5-6 years now. There is a serious growth in terms of digital products and consumer products, that are on offer from companies. So common sense would dictate that product managers will continue to be in demand. So I don't see a reason why that should change. Thanks for mentioning about MIS SE Masters. Can you suggest some good universities for my profile? Tier 1 college at GPA 324 GRE. MIS, very good programs are University of Maryland, which incidentally tomorrow we are doing an information session with. The Maryland admissions committee is going to sit with you. The program directors are going to sit with you to give you all the information you need on their MIS and business analytics programs, their MBAs also. So anybody interested in an MBA, information system, business analytics, marketing analytics, all of these, be sure to join the free webinar tomorrow night. Nilesh will put the link here. Register for it if you haven't already, and definitely sign up for it. But to continue on your question, Carnegie Mellon, Maryland, Indiana, Kelley, Washington, all great programs. We've had over 100 admits to these programs just last year, right? So you definitely want to sign up with us and get started with the service. Our expertise with this program is pretty unmatched, as you can see through our reviews as well. If GRE is optional, would a low GRE score affect my profile? If it's optional and the GRE score is low, just don't report it. Dartmouth asks for a letterhead on professional LOR, but the company I'm associated with has policy restrictions. What can I do in this case? No problem. Write to Dartmouth. A lot of companies have letterhead restrictions. If it's uploaded from a official email ID, you should be fine. But just write to them and tell them this is the problem. Worst case, they will ask your recommender to write a line in the recommendation saying that getting a letterhead is not possible. Any cons for 1 year's master's programs? There is a con. You simply have less time to search for a job. You also don't have that summer term or that off semester where you can do an internship. You can do an internship in the US only after you finish 2 semesters of studies at an American university. 1 year master's programs itself are only for 2 semesters. Therefore, the internship won't be possible. Internship is important because it converts to a full-time job a lot of times. If it doesn't also, that experience will add value. But if it's some really top programs like a UT Austin Business Analytics or a Cornell MEM, I wouldn't really bother even if it's a year long. Save GPA for a top 10 MEM. For a top 5, if you have an 8 plus, you can hope to get in. For a top 10, if you have a 7 GPA, you can definitely hope to get in. Should I do an MEM? Oh, wait, what happened here? Sorry. Yeah. Should I do an MEM 8.3 GPA, 2 research papers, freelance marketing for a year, 2 relevant internships? I want to get into a good school. Is this good? You can get into a good school. Should you do an MEM or no? Really depends on the career outcomes you want. If you wish to get into something like a product management, project management, if you're doing marketing, then maybe product management will be interesting to you. Even if you want to get into marketing analytics, and MEM makes sense if you're okay working in tech. Beyond that, whether it really fits your needs, you should schedule a free consultation with my team and they will be happy to evaluate if that makes sense for you in an objective manner. In fact, on the free consultation call, a lot of times my team just says, don't apply for a master's, it's not for you, because it's the only service in the market that keeps your interests in mind. Apart from the fact that we sell our packages as well, but we never dole out advice that can be detrimental to you. That's the reason why we have so much positive word of mouth. So definitely don't hesitate to schedule that free consultation and get advice from my team. Does Gradvine have an internal team who checks SOP before it is finalized after it is done by my mentor? Yes, we absolutely do. And I recommend you send that in if you're enrolled with us early. Give us at least 6 to 7 days time if you're sending it during peak season, because there's a rush of documents. But we definitely do have a team that maintains a strict level of quality before any SOP goes out. Is there any way we can offset our backlogs in the first year of engineering? Solid projects, and if your GPA is good, even if you have 1-2 backlogs, it won't matter. Will a tag of Brown and from Harvard and Prime add as an advantage in job search after Prime? Prime getting jobs gets difficult. Again, don't get carried away by Ivy League. There are non-Ivy Leagues which are better than Ivy Leagues. And this is coming from an Ivy League grad himself, right? So don't get caught up with tags. Really look at the curriculum and the kind of outcomes that will lead to logically. I had a mechanical engineering admit from UW Seattle in 2020, but dropped during COVID. Now I'm applying to MEM. Should I mention this in my SOPs now? You could, if it's a compelling story. So you could say that you believed in the MEM cause so much and the ability to deliver solutions at scale that you skipped a technical master's degree and instead are choosing to apply to this. You could. That could be a compelling story. Good schools for tech-heavy MIS programs: Carnegie Mellon, UC Berkeley. They are tech-heavy. Good universities which are cheap for an MS in CS. Texas schools are all cheap. Texas A&M very cheap for what it offers. I would definitely recommend you consider it. If I remember your profile right, you're a 9-pointer. It's a top 15, top 20 program, and it's incredibly reasonable. Generally, Texas universities are cheap. The California state universities are reasonable as well. I have 2 years of work ex. I can get an LOR from an India consultant with a letterhead of ZS or from a former associate principal based in the US without a letterhead. Whoever you worked with closer, a letterhead can be negotiated with the university. Don't worry about it. If you worked, closely with either of the persons, it is fine. I don't know how closely you would have worked with the associate principal, but if you can get it from there, great. Career outcomes for business analytics versus data analytics largely the same. In fact, you'll find that 70-80% of that curriculum overlaps, and that's why the job opportunities are similar. Is MEM at NEU better than NYU? Subjective. MEM at NEU curriculum is slightly better, but NYU is the bigger brand. You only can pick it based on what you are looking for from a specific degree. All righty. So I think we've hit 9:45. I'm sorry for joining 2-3 minutes late, but I think it is time that I have to hop off of this live. I genuinely hope that this session was useful. If I could not answer your questions, again, I'm sorry about that. It is not due to lack of effort. I've tried my best, and maybe I would have missed some because there's scores of questions here. I don't even know how many, but I genuinely hope that this session was useful. And imagine if you can get so much information, for free on LinkedIn Live. Imagine the kind of information you can get, once you sign up for a service with Gradwine. So even before that, if you want any doubts cleared, schedule your free consultation with gradwine.com and get all your queries cleared. Join our webinars; they're incredibly useful. Tomorrow, University of Maryland program directors are joining in. They are going to interact with you, answer all your questions for the MIS analytics, marketing analytics, MBA, all the B school related programs. University of Maryland, as you know, is a top 5, top 6 MIS program in the world. It's outstanding. So don't lose this chance to interact with the program directors and the people who make the admissions decisions themselves. The link has been provided. Please sign up there. On 4th, we are doing a session with Johns Hopkins. Definitely join that. All you MEM applicants definitely would want to interact with that admissions committee and get all your queries cleared and ask insightful questions that can be very, very useful. We also get an insight into how they evaluate applications. We also have a civil engineering related Johns Hopkins information session on the 10th of November, for which the link will be provided for you. Attend these webinars, follow us on our social medias, follow us on Instagram, where we do a lot of informative informative videos there too. And as always, you can schedule a free consultation and sign up for a service with us. Until I see you next time, which probably will be in a webinar in the middle of November. Thank you very much. It was lovely interacting with all you guys, and most importantly, thank you for placing your trust in me and showing up at all my sessions in such great numbers. I'm really grateful that you believe in my advice. I'm always around to help. So have a great night, guys. I will see you soon.